When you and your ex broke up, whenever that was, however it went down, I can almost guarantee that they lied to you about the breakup. Now, I've been a breakup coach for over 12 years now, and after helping thousands of people through difficult breakups, I've seen this happen time and time again. In fact, in my experience, almost all breakups involve lying to some degree, even if it's well-intentioned or it happens subconsciously. So in this video, I'll be explaining why exes almost always lie or share only partial truths during a breakup. And I'm going to help you determine what their lies mean, what the truth might be, and what it means for your chances of getting back together in the future. And again, what I'll be covering in this video is based on my many years of experience as a breakup coach, working with tens of thousands of clients from around the world. Now, if this is your first time stumbling across one of my videos here on YouTube, welcome. I'm Brad Browning, aka Breakup Brad, and I have been YouTube's leading breakup coach since 2014. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and comment below with your questions and feedback. I always do my best to read and respond to all comments, especially from my subscribers. Now, let's get into it, starting with the underlying reasons why people so often lie or withhold the full truth during a breakup. So reason number one, they needed to give you some kind of reason for the breakup, but they didn't want to hurt your feelings. So in most cases, the reason is actually just that simple. You know, your ex felt that they needed to give you some kind of closure, and they felt compelled to explain the breakup, but he or she probably didn't want to hurt you any more than was absolutely necessary. So remember, ending a relationship is extremely difficult for both parties, not just the person being dumped. So unless your relationship ended, with a screaming match and lots of animosity, then your ex probably felt bad about having to hurt you by breaking up, and they wanted to soften the blow as much as possible. So that's why in most cases, your ex will either blatantly lie about the reasons behind the breakup, or they'll only tell you part of the truth. And after all, when you look at it from your ex's perspective, what's to be gained from telling you the truth and from hurting you even more? So for example, if your ex couldn't stand your friends, or they were no longer attracted to you because you'd put on a lot of weight since the start of the relationship, wouldn't that be a lot more hurtful to hear than if he or she simply said something like, we've just drifted apart and I don't feel that connection anymore. Maybe they would say, I'm just at a point in my life where I need some time alone. Now, as I mentioned earlier, oftentimes your ex may have told you only part of the truth. He or she may have picked one thing that was bothering them about your relationship and told you that that was the main reason for your breakup, when in fact it was just, really one of several issues that led to their decision to end things. Again, more often than not, this is well-intentioned. Your ex still cares about you to some extent, and they don't want to upset you any more than necessary by revealing the true reasons for their decision to break up. And even in cases where a breakup is mutual, you usually won't hear your ex say the full truth about why they believe that it's best if you kind of go your separate ways. So for most of you watching, your ex is actually being dishonest because they care for you and because they want to make the breakup as painless as possible. And reason number two is because they feel guilty about the breakup. Now, this is similar to the first reason that I just talked about, but basically sometimes your ex will feel extremely guilty about hurting you. Or even more commonly, they'll be feeling guilty about the true reason that they do want to break up with you. So for example, and hopefully this is not the case for you, but it does happen sometimes, your ex may have found someone new. And it's not necessarily, that they're already dating that person, or even that they're sure that things will work out with that new person, but they may have met someone that really excites them and that they feel is worth pursuing. And quite frankly, if your ex has any kind of conscience or morals, they're not going to be likely to tell you the truth in that kind of situation. After all, how painful would it be for you to hear that they're leaving you for the new guy or girl at the office? Even if they're not, officially dating that person yet, and they haven't had any kind of romantic or physical intimacy, they're just not going to want to hurt you by telling you about this new love interest. Now, as I will explain a bit later in the video, there is a silver lining to this kind of situation because it is often a result of grass is greener syndrome on your ex's part. So just keep watching and I'll explain a bit more about that shortly. First though, reason number three is they want to avoid unnecessary drama or conflict. Now, this is another really common reason why your ex will lie or will only share part of the truth when they give you their reasons for breaking up. And that's because they want to avoid, just getting into an argument or a bickering match because they think it'll be unhelpful and it's going to end up, ending things on bad terms. So for example, maybe you and your ex, often disagreed or fought over something specific that plagued your relationship. Maybe you have, a jealous streak that led to you being insecure and needy. Maybe you smothered your ex a bit too much, tried to control who they hung out with, what they did in their spare time. Well, these are common issues in many relationships, and they can often fester and eventually lead to a breakup. but most often your ex won't want to bring this up during the breakup. After all, what good is it going to do? They've already fought with you, about those issues many times while you were still together, and the issue never got resolved and eventually led to the point where your ex got fed up and decided a breakup was the only choice left. So bringing up all those same problems again and their complaints again when they're breaking up with you is really just pointless, and they've likely decided that there's no hope for change anymore. So instead, they'll usually offer, a more mundane sounding excuse for the breakup. It even could be the old, it's not you, it's me cliche. Or it could be something, more specific, like now that I'm in school full time and we'll be living 2 hours apart, it's just not realistic anymore. Or, sometimes they might be vague and just say something like, we've lost the spark and I don't feel a connection anymore. But whatever the exact reason that they gave you for breaking up, it's likely that they're just using it as an excuse to avoid, bringing up the real problem that led to their decision, because they know it's just going to lead to another fight or more questions from you that they just simply want to avoid. Reason number 4, they're hiding something sleazy. Now, thankfully, in my experience, this is actually pretty rare. But it is a possibility that your ex will lie because they did something really naughty that they just don't want you to find out about. So, for instance, maybe they're hooking up with your friend. And they don't dare let you or anyone else find out about it, both to avoid hurting you and to avoid just kind of looking like a shitty human being more generally when people find out about whatever they did. So, like I said, this kind of thing is rare enough that very few of you watching this video are going to be facing that kind of situation, but it is occasionally the reason that your ex might hide the true reasons for breaking up. Now let's move on and look at some specific examples that I see my coaching clients bring up regularly when they're telling me why their ex wanted to break up with them. So first, let's look at the classic excuse, which is example number 1, it's not you, it's me. Now, I don't think I have to tell you this, but if your ex does say something like this, if they claim there's nothing that you did wrong or there's nothing specific that led to their decision to break up beyond, unexplained personal reasons, it's almost 100% guaranteed to be a flat-out lie to cover up the real reason.
It's not you, it's me.
You're giving me the it's not you, it's me routine? I invented it's not you, it's me. Nobody tells me it's them, not me. If it's anybody, it's me.
All right. George, it's you.
You're damn right it's me.
So as far as I can tell, based on my work with literally tens of thousands of clients going through a breakup, this one is always an excuse and it's never the truth. The only time that this type of excuse might be somewhat truthful is when your ex genuinely doesn't know exactly why they're done with the relationship. Occasionally, sometimes people, they just know they're not happy and that they want out. So they go straight to the old, it's not you, it's me line, just to give you some closure and make it clear that they're not dumping you because they're unhappy about something specific. But even in that type of situation, your ex usually will have underlying reasons for their desire to end things. They just can't pin down those exact causes in their head. So don't believe your ex if they give you this kind of explanation for the breakup. It's almost never true, nor does it offer any kind of insight into their actual thinking. All right, and example number 2, I just need some time alone to figure things out. So when your ex does say things to you like that, when they say, I need some time on my own to figure out what I want, or I need some time and space to sort of sort out my own life, well, they're doing so for one of 2 reasons. One, either they're just using it as an easy excuse to avoid hurting you or getting into an argument, like I mentioned earlier, or they're basically telling you, I don't know whether we have any future, but I know that I'm not happy with our relationship, and I want you to go away for a while so I can figure out whether or not you're the one for me and whether we have a future together. Either way, this is a very common thing for exes to say after a breakup, and it actually usually means that your chances of getting them back are probably quite good, if you handle the situation properly from this point forward and use the strategies that I cover in my X Factor program to change their mind about you and your future together as a couple. If you haven't already, go take my free quiz at breakupbrad.com/quiz to confirm that your situation is still salvageable. Chances are good that you'll still be able to win them back if they are saying things like, I need some time to figure things out. But you should just still take that quiz really quickly to see how dire your specific situation is and determine what steps to take in order to maximize your chances of getting them back. All right, and on to example number 3. I don't have time for a relationship right now because I'm so busy. Now, this is another very common excuse that your ex may give you when explaining why they think breaking up is necessary. And guess what? Just like the previous example, this is almost always a flat out lie too. Or at least it's only a small part of the real reason. Look guys, I've said this time and time again in my past videos, but I'll say it again here. When romantic attraction is strong enough, in other words, when someone is super into you and really wants to be with you, they'll always find a way to overcome logistical or practical issues like this. Really, love trumps all, at least when the passion and attraction is strong enough, including things like a busy schedule. So if your ex really felt like you were their soulmate, if they desperately wanted to be with you and felt, a really strong emotional and physical connection, they'd make time for you, right? They'd be willing to accept not seeing you for a few weeks at a time just to keep you around in their life. So while there can often be a little bit of truth to this kind of statement, I'm sure your ex really is busy as hell right now. It's also never a big enough problem that it can't be overcome if your ex is sufficiently attracted to you and believes that you are the right person for them. All right, and on to example number 4. We've drifted apart and I don't feel the same connection that we once had. Now, this one is actually a little bit less obviously false. The simple fact is, sometimes the spark will fade in a relationship. Things will become, dull and routine, and your ex might just fall out of love with you over time. It does happen. It's usually preventable, but it's often also a real emotion that your ex is feeling. So this definitely isn't always a flat-out lie. It's usually somewhat true, but it doesn't really explain the underlying reasons for why that connection and that spark has faded. So if your ex is telling you things like, I just don't feel like we're compatible anymore, or if they say, we've lost the spark and we're just drifting apart, you can usually believe them to some extent. The real question is though, what caused that loss of attraction and romantic connection? Now your ex may not know the answer to that, or they may just not want to explain to you the full reasons why they think the spark has faded. Either way, the key in this kind of situation is to change your ex's mind about the breakup and about your compatibility as a couple. Now this is exactly what the free video tutorial on my website, breakupbrad.com, will teach you. So after this video is over, go to breakupbrad.com, click on your gender, and watch that full tutorial video for free to learn a number of my most effective psychological techniques that are going to shift how your ex feels about you and reignite that spark to the point where they change their mind and start seeing you as the one again. Example number 5, there's no long-term future for us, or it's just not going to work in the long run. So with this one, we're back to the flat-out excuses, or at least vague generalizations. If your ex is saying to you that they think you don't have a realistic future together, whether they elaborate on that or not, it's again indicative of an underlying loss of attraction. So as I said earlier, if your ex really felt a strong connection and desperately wanted to be with you, they'd find ways in their own head to justify staying together and to justify overcoming any practical challenges that you might face if you were to stay together. So one common example is in long distance relationships. Often your ex will use this type of excuse to justify breaking up. They'll say things, like, I don't think this can work long term since we're so far apart. Kind of suggesting that the distance between the two of you is now something that will be insurmountable and prevent you from having a happy, lasting, long-term future together. But guess what? It's because they don't feel attracted enough to you to work around those issues, or to at least, continue to put up with the distance for now until you can someday work out a plan to be together in the same place. So, as I mentioned before, if you want to get back together, the key then is to shift your ex's perception of you and your value as a romantic partner to the point where they'll push aside those practical concerns about distance and decide to stay with you and hope that you'll work out a plan, to be together in the long run. Again, please visit breakupbrad.com to watch my full tutorial to learn more about how to rebuild that kind of natural organic attraction. Better yet, even consider signing up risk-free for a copy of my best-selling X Factor program so you can get access and win them back as soon as humanly possible. Get started in the next 5 minutes just by going to breakupbrad.com/buy. Example number 6, it won't work between us because of my family/religion/social pressures. Now, this can be a common reason people will give their ex when breaking up, especially in countries or in societies where family and religion or culture play a big role in relationships. So for example, in many parts of South Asia and India, arranged marriages are common, and parents expect to have a say in their children's romantic partner. Even in Western Europe and North America, sometimes family pressure or different social classes and backgrounds can cause problems in a relationship. So what I'm saying here is that this type of excuse, where your ex says that breaking up is necessary because, their parents don't approve of their relationship, or religious and cultural reasons make a long-term future, difficult or impossible, that can often be truthful. Again, as I said several times already, these types of practical issues can usually be overcome, though, if the romantic connection is strong enough. So if your ex is desperate to be with you and willing to risk upsetting their parents or breaking cultural norms. But those things do often present, a genuine problem for some couples, and they might have played a real role in your ex's decision to break up. So can you overcome this kind of problem in your situation and get another chance with them? Really, maybe. It's definitely often still possible, but that really depends on the specifics of your individual situation and your culture. So I suggest you go to breakupbrad.com/quiz and take my free quiz to find out your odds of successfully getting them back. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, your ex lying about the breakup or only sharing part of the real truth can be for a number of different reasons. If they're lying to avoid hurting your feelings by revealing a painful truth about why they wanted to break up, well, that could be good news or bad news for your odds of getting them back. On one hand, it means they still care about you enough to lie or to withhold information simply to protect you and to avoid causing you pain. If they don't want to hurt you by sharing the truth, it does mean that they do care about you and they don't have any underlying, resentment that might prevent them from getting you back. On the other hand, sometimes the real reasons that they haven't shared with you are going to be seriously problematic. So for example, if they have lost attraction to you because you fundamentally changed, gaining 50 pounds or dropping out of school and lying around the house all day, those reasons can be significant enough that they'll make changing your ex's mind and getting a second chance with them very difficult. If your ex has given you, a more generic excuse for breaking up, the it's not you, it's me, or I just need some time to figure things out, then that's normally actually very good news for your chances of getting them back. Now, I can't guarantee that you'll be able to change their mind and win them back, but if they're internally conflicted about what's best for their future, if they're unsure whether you're right for them or their feelings for you have just faded to the point where they want to take some time and be single and determine what they want in the long term, well, that kind of situation, usually you can use some subtle psychological techniques to change how they feel about you, increase your perceived value as a romantic partner in their mind, and eventually convince them that breaking up was the wrong choice. Now, this is often essentially what I talked about earlier, the grass is greener syndrome. They've just basically forgotten what it's like to be single, to live without you, and so on. And the idea of being apart and playing the field again as a single person is an appealing thought to them. But often, once they actually begin to realize and experience life without you, they'll understand that they were just victim to that grass is greener mindset, and they were over-glamorizing what life will be like when you're not around. And what if they're giving you specific reasons why a long-term future together isn't practical or even possible? What if they're saying, given how far we live apart and how busy I am, it just won't be able to make it work? Well, that's also normally a pretty good situation to be in if you do want to get back together. You can often overcome those kinds of pragmatic issues by forcing them to feel a powerful attraction to you again, making them choose to put up with any obstacles or challenges that your relationship will face, such as long distance, just so they can still be with you. If this describes your situation right now, start by taking my quiz at breakupbrad.com/quiz, just to get a better idea of where you stand and what you need to do to get them back. Finally, and this is a really important final tip for you guys, so please pay attention here. If your ex says anything about needing some time apart or needing some space to figure things out, you must, and I repeat, you must show them that you'll respect those wishes and quickly disappear from their life. If you don't, if you keep the lines of communication open or you constantly reach out to your ex, you're only going to reinforce your ex's belief that breaking up was the right choice. So don't underestimate the power of no contact in almost every breakup situation, but especially if your ex is undecided or internally conflicted. Now, of course, if you want my ongoing guidance to help you maximize your chances of getting your ex back, regardless of your current situation, just visit breakupbrad.com/coaching and sign up for my one-on-one coaching program. When you sign up, I'll learn all about your specific situation, and we'll come up with a plan together to make sure you get your ex back as quickly as possible. And that just about does it. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Thanks for your likes, your comments, and especially huge thanks to anybody who's already subscribed to my channel here on YouTube, because I sincerely appreciate all your support. I'll see you guys in the next video.